Hey there, Nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Way of the Underhive. This is a series that's dedicated to helping out brand new players create their starting gangs and learn the game mechanics of their favorite gangs for future campaigns of Necromunda. And if you notice, this video is kind of a revision, and the reason why that is the case is because I actually made a huge mistake the last time I actually released my starting rosters for Ashwaste Nomads for Necromunda 2022 into the Ash Waste. What ended up happening is I basically did two things. The first thing I did is I miscalculated the starting amount for the list that you can use for going into the Ash Waste. On my previous video, I started out all the Ash Waste gangs on that list at only 1,000 credits. And the reason why is because I misread the rule. I originally thought that the 1,400 credits, the additional 400 credits you get for a gang, was only used for vehicles. And since Ash Waste Nomads can't take vehicles, I thought they were playing at a severe handicap of only having 400 credits less than the rest of their counterparts. So I built all those lists using only 1,000 credits. Thanks to a lot of my viewers, they actually informed me, like, no, it also counts for fighters who are also mounted as well for that additional 400 credits, which means that all my lists that I did in my previous video were 400 credits less in point value than the other contemporary gangs. So because I decided to make a fix real quick and fix that up and give you guys a brand new video where I actually go through all three of the lists I used before, and I increased their value by 400 credits, so that way you can use these new lists in the Ash Waste as well. Another mistake I also made too is that for whatever strange reason, I thought that the heavy caster didn't have the unwieldy trait when I made a lot of the builds for that. So with that weapon, I used fast shot, and you really can't use fast shot at heavy weapons like that, even if they have a dispenser on it. So because I kind of revised the lists a little bit to take that into account as well. So because of that, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you my three same lists that I did before, but I modified them to decrease their starting value from 1,000 credits to 1,400 credits, and we'll talk about the rationale, the choices I made for those lists as well. You can also see the list down in the description box down below. The video, however, will go a little bit more in detail about how you use the different members of your lists in your future campaigns. So if you want to see exactly how that works, well, let's get that video on the roll. Alright, so first of all, I'll start with my standard list. So this is a revision of the original list I made originally. This one's going to cost you 1,395 credits in order to make this list. And here's the following. First of all, I have Ash Waste Nomad Chieftain. He's going to cost you 205 points. This fighter has Ash Cloak, Sky Mantle, as well as Mesh Armor. They're going to be equipped with a long rifle with an Infra sight, as well as a blast pistol for close combat, and they also have the Overseer ability as well. After that, you'll have two Ash Waste Nomad Watchers. Watcher number 1 will cost you 290 credits. This fighter will have Ash Cloak, as well as Sky Mantle, a Mesh Armor, as well as a Charge Caster, as well as a Rocket Pack for in case you run up into any ammo checks for the Charge Caster. We took away the Dispenser because we're really not going to need it, because this person will be firing from the stationary position anyways. And they have the Blast Pistol for close combat, and they all have the Wasteland skill, Bring It Down, which is going to help them to focus fire and ignore power priority for the rest of their gang. Watcher number 2 will cost you 185 credits. This fighter will have Ash Cloak, Sky Mantle, Mesh Armor, as well as a long rifle with an infrared sight attached to it for long range shooting, as well as a blast pistol and the fast shot ability, so that way they can fire up to twice or 4 times if you use the Nomad Chieftain Overseer ability. After that, you will have two Ash Waste Nomad Warriors, number 1 and 2. Both will cost you 80 credits apiece. Both are equipped pretty much exactly the same. Nomad 1 will have Ash Cloak, a Sky Mantle, as well as a blast rifle and a Scavenge stub gun, and the second one will have Ash Cloak, Sky Mantle, a blast rifle, as well as a rocket pack. That rocket pack is to help boost Watcher number 1 with ammo checks. After that, you will have 3 Dustbite Hellamite riders. Rider number 1 will cost you 255 credits. That character's got Ash Cloak, a Dustback Hellamite, Flak Armor. This character is also carrying a Venom Caster, as well as a Scavenge Stub Gun, while the other 2 Dustback riders, 2 and 3, they're equipped exactly the same at 150 credits apiece. Both will have Ash Cloaks, Dustback Hellamites, Flak Armor, Chain Lances, as well as Savage Stub Guns. Now, this list will consist of 3 fire teams. You have 1 Sniper team, 1 support team, as well as 1 assault team. Your Sniper team will consist of your Ash Waste Nomad Chieftain, as well as Watcher number 2 and Warrior number 1. Their job is to provide long-range firepower covering the advance of the support team as well as assault team towards your opponent. You're going to spam the Chieftain's Overseer ability on Watcher number 2, allowing them to fire up to 4 times with their long rifle with the Infra sight. That's really going to help you take out those long-distance targets, especially if they're hiding in cover. Warrior number 1's job is to provide security for the group, protecting them from attack from watching their flanks as well as their rear. Kind of like a spotter does in real life life in a sniper team. Now, for support fire team, will consist of Watcher number 1 and Warrior number 2. This team's job is for Watcher number 1 to rain down long-range fire using the Charge Caster, and Warrior number 2's job is to protect Watcher number 1 from being attacked, kind of like a spotter, and they also support the Watcher as well with their rocket pack in case the Watcher actually rolls an ammo check for that Charge Caster. So that's their whole purpose for that. Think of them as like a weapons team, a heavy weapons team from like Warhammer 40k. Now, lastly, of course, we do have our Assault Fire team that consists of Dust Riders number 1, 2, and 3. This team's job is to flank and charge through their enemies. Dust Rider number 1 provides close support attacks with using their Venom Casters. So that template weapon is going to really use that Toxin trait and take out a lot of opponents. Hopefully, you can get some seriously injured fighters. If that ends up happening, you can then use Dust Rider number 2 and 3 to charge those guys and take them out with a coup de grace. While that occurs, Dust Rider 2 and 3 finish off survivors with ride-by attacks, and they use their chain lances for that. And this is what I like to call the standard list. This basically consists of a box of Ash Waste Nomads as well as a box of Dustback Hellamites. You can either buy those two boxes separately, or you can just get it from the starter set if you decide to purchase it when it first came out. My next build is my Tuscan Raider build. This one's going to cost you 1,390 credits to create this list. So let's talk about their fighters real fast. So for your Ash Waste Nomad, Chieftain's going to cost you 200 credits. That character's armed with a Ash Cloak, Sky Mantle, Mesh Armor. They're also got a Blast Carbine with a telescopic sight for that 2-up to hit for long-range targets if you do an aim action with this fighter. They also have a Blast Pistol as well as the Munitioneer skill from the Savant tree. After that, you have two Watchers. Watcher number 1 and 2 are equipped exactly the same. Both have Ash Cloaks, both have Sky Mantles, both are packing Mesh Armor, long rifles, Scavenge Stub Guns, and both have the Fast Shot ability, so that way they both can fire up to 2 times with those long rifles of them. After that, you will have 3 Ash Waste Nomad Warriors. These guys are equipped exactly the same at 95 credits apiece. All 3 will have Ash Cloaks, Sky Mantles, long rifles, as well as Scavenge Stub Guns. So once again, doing that long range shooting with the long rifles, kind of like the Tuscan Raiders do from the Star Wars universe. After that, you will have 2 Dust Runners. Dust Runner number 1 and 2 will both cost you 55 credits apiece. They're both equipped exactly the same with Ash Cloaks, Sky Mantles, Blast Rifles, as well as Scavenge Stub Guns. And after that, you will also have 3 Dustback Riders. Riders 1, 2, and 3 are all equipped exactly the same. All 3 of them are equipped, cost you 165 credits apiece. All 3 will have Ash Cloaks, riding a Dustback Helmet. They will also have Mesh Armor. They also have Blast Rifles, as well as Chain Lances. So when it comes to this team, you actually got 3, you basically have 4 teams on this one. You have 3 sniper teams as well as assault fire team. Your sniper team number 1 will consist of Watcher number 1, Warrior number 1, and Dust Runner number 1. Sniper team number 2 will have Watcher number 2, Warrior number 2, and Dust Runner number 2. And then finally, sniper team number 3 will consist of your Chieftain as well as Warrior number 3. And basically how this basically works is that your assault fire team will consist of Dustback Rider number 1, 2, as well as 3 as well. Now the sniper teams and the support fire teams basically help each other out by giving covering fire and suppress fire with their long rifles. You have 5 long rifles in this list. So you're going to be able to reach out and touch your opponents and take them at distance and provide that long range sniper fire. Now while that's occurring, of course, the rest of your fighters provide your security for your sniper. So anybody who's not carrying a long rifle in those sniper teams, their job is to protect the back as well as the flank of those sniper teams, kind of like a spotter does in real life. And then finally, of course, while that's occurring, your assaulting fire team, which consists of your 3 Dustback Helmet Riders, those guys will either move and shoot from a distance because they all have blast rifles, or they can charge in and finish off their opponents with chain lances using the ride-by ability as well, because these guys will be very versatile to do that as well. If you want to, I suggest purchasing long rifles for your Dust Riders later on as the campaign develops, so that way they can do long-range fire while on the move, which would be a deadly combination for your gang, especially against other gangs who are not used to seeing that type of long-range firepower being used. And that's the reason why I call these guys the Tuscan Raider build, is because just like the Tuscan Raiders from the Star Wars universe, they use their long-range shooting of their cyclic rifles in order to keep their enemies at bay, and if they need to, they engage in close combat and destroy your opponents that way as well. And that's what I call the Tuscan Raider build. Now the very last list is what I like to call like a Bantha build. This is the same one I used in my previous video at 1,400 credits for this army. And like I said, in this list everybody is mounted, and it uses an unofficial rule in order to do that. What you do is that the riders who can't take Dustback Hellamites, what they do is you use the dirt bike rule, the Wasteland dirt bike rule, for 50 credits. What that ends up happening is then that your players will lose their Sky Mantles and they'll take a Dustback Hellamite as a mount instead. So Make sure you check with your arbitrator though before you use this list, because this is an unofficial list. So you always suggest talking to your arbitrator to see if they allow it or not. Or if they don't, well then of course you can ignore it. But for my gaming group though, I will allow for mine, and that's the reason why I have this up here. So the Bantha build. First of all, you have your Ash Waste Nomad Chieftain. It's going to cost you 255 credits. This fighter is equipped with Ash Cloak, Mesh Armor, Blast Rifle, as well as a Chain Lance. They also got a Deathback Helmite, and they got the Commanding Presence ability for group activations. After that, you have an Ash Waste Nomad Watcher, which is going to cost you 220 credits. This fighter has got an Ash Cloak, Mesh Armor, a Long Rifle, the Telescopic Sight, a Dustback Helmite, as well as a Fast Shot ability, so that way you can shoot twice with that. So that's going to really help you out in that one as well. I'm sorry, not Telescopic Sight. I apologize. It's supposed to be an infrared sight. I do apologize for that. Now, we have our Ash Waste Nomad Stormcaller, so we're going to be using the Stormcaller on this one. The Stormcaller costs 185 points. It's got Ash Cloak as well as Dustback Helmite. This character is also packing Mesh Armor, a Blast Rifle, as well as a Stormcaller Staff, and they have the Wasteland skill Bring It Down, so that way they can focus fire on opponents and ignore target priority as well. Now after that, you have 3 Dust Riders. All 3 of these guys will be equipped exactly the same at 160 credits apiece. They got Ash Cloaks, Dustback Helmites, Mesh Armor, Scavenge Auto Guns, as well as Chain Lances. And then you have 2 more Dust Riders, Dust Rider number 4 and 5. They're both equipped exactly the same at 130 credits apiece. They both have Ash Cloaks, Dustback Helmites, and Mesh Armor, Long Rifles, as well as Scavenged Dub Guns. So for this one, you have 1 support fire team, which consists of your Watcher, Dust Rider number 4, and Dust Rider number 5. And what these guys do is they provide rapid moving, long-range fire with their long rifles. That's basically what you use for these guys as well. These guys hop around the Watcher as well as Rider number 2, 4, and 5. They can hop around the back of the Dustbag Helmites. They can fire from distance with their long rifles, and they can maneuver into good positions in order to get a crossfire against their opponents and take out guys at distance. And they're not that bad either at close combat, because they also got that ride-by ability too with their weapons. Now your Assault Fire team consists of your Chieftain, your Stonecaller, as well as Dust Riders 1, 2, and 3. These guys are pretty simple. Their whole thing is to charge and destroy enemies in close combat using ride-by rules, using their Chain Lances to do so. At the same time, they also have Blast Rifles. They can also use some longer range shooting as well, especially for your Chieftain. And you also have some Scavenged Auto Guns as well if you want to be able to do some rapid fire close-up fighting as well. And that is what I like to call the Bantha build. So in conclusion, you guys, I once again do apologize for the earlier mistake I made on my previous Ash Waste Nomad starting rosters. I only got you 1,000 points for each of those lists instead of the actual 1,400 credits you're supposed to use. So these 3 lists have been revised, and now they're up to the standard they need to be, so that way you can take these guys out into the Ash Waste. However, with that being said, my previous video isn't as useless as I think it is, and the reason why is because you got 3 lists that you can still use in the Underhive. So if you're not going out to the Ash Waste, you can use those 3 lists I did in my previous video and use those guys instead for playing in the Underhive if you want to as well. And I hope this really helps out the brand new players, especially those who are planning on playing Ash Waste Nomads and the Ash Waste. I hope this helps you out and that you have 3 lists that kind of inspire you to create your own lists and go out there and bring glory to your tribe at the Ash Waste. And of course, as always, if you want to change anything around that I have my list, that's perfectly fine. These are simply suggestions that I put out there for brand new players. I do kind of optimize them as best I can on the list to make sure that they have a really good balance of things, but if you want to use something else, feel free to do so. That is perfectly fine. So that's good for those of you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is valuable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.